Yo, what is up everybody? It's Tuna. So we're just starting here, day 2 of the Affliction 3.22 expansion. And I have had a good look through all of the charms. And this video is going to be intended for you guys just to show you some of the crazy stuff you can do with charms. And in general, all the best charms ranked and what I think about them and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to preface this video by saying that there's some charms that I've probably missed that maybe are very useful to your build. However, you know, having gone through the list, these are the ones that I think are really insane. And hopefully you find some charms here or realize that there's some crazy ass charms for your build that are going to be just, you know, enhancing your power and that kind of stuff. So the first one is going to be of the Juggernaut, and this is an item level 83 charm. So you can see here the item level of the charm. This is going to be determining where you can get it, right? So essentially where you can farm these is dependent on the zone level, which makes it so that like it incentivizes players to farm higher level zones, but it also means that you cannot spam farm lower zones for these charms, these insane charms. So just keep that in mind if you are looking to farm them, you know. Let's just start it off with the first one being of the Juggernaut, Unbreakable. 3% of armor applies to fire, cold, and lightning damage from hits. This is pretty damn insane because you can stack these up to 3 of them. That means that you can get up to 9% of armor applies to fire, cold, and lightning damage from hits. And this is one of the strongest ascendancies on Juggernaut. And if you are getting a lot of armor, essentially this will reduce the amount of damage that you take substantially. One that is pretty damn insane. You can make some pretty insanely tanky builds with this, and one to look out for, of course. There is a lower version of this that rolls 1 to 2%, and that's like a lower item level. But of course, for endgame builds, I would always aim to get the higher item level. The next one is going to be of the Chieftain. And this is pretty cool because it lets you stack up to 6% maximum fire resistance when you have 3 of them. And, you know, it stems from the Valakal Storm's Embrace, which basically makes your maximum fire resistance also apply to your other resistances. But this is sort of like a nerfed version of that, allowing you to stack up to 6% maximum fire resistance, which is pretty cool, which allows people, you know, to maybe potentially make builds like Righteous Fire. Like if there's some people still playing that, definitely wanted to point that out for the boys out there. So next, this one is pretty useful. However, banners generally, they don't reserve that much mana, but in situations where, you know, you need a little bit of a reservation to actually get a banner in there, this one's pretty useful. So of the champions, it's only level 45. It's really common. You can buy these off trade for super cheap. Banner skills have no reservation, so you can get a Dread banner in there, link it to Generosity and increase the AoE, and that'll just substantially increase your defensiveness, you know, how tanky you feel, as it will make you much more evasive. Monsters within the radius of you is just going to hit you a lot less. So that's a really good one for early game, and a little bit of defenses there. Of the champions is pretty damn cool because it enables the mechanic of, you know, reserving your life, or not reserving, but consuming a percentage of your life to gain adrenaline when you reach low life. So essentially, the way that you achieve this is, you know, by having something like Corrupting Fever or, you know, potentially like anything that spends mana to go below 50% life to then gain adrenaline for 4 seconds, which is pretty cool, which is also what people do on the champion, right? So you gain adrenaline for 20 seconds on champion, whereas here you gain it for 4 seconds. This one is pretty damn insane because, you know, there's like a lot of Impale stuff that's come out this league with the new Steel skills, not having to actually reload, and also the fact that we're getting a ton more Impale effect in general on all of those skills. And of the champions here, an item level 81 charm is going to give you Impales. You inflict last 1 additional hit, which, you know, we stack up to 3. That's 3 additional hits. And then you can get Master of Metal from the champion. And then you can also get the Watcher's Eye. This is going to be insane amounts of damage on single target, specifically where you're actually able to stack up those Impales. And you're going to probably be seeing a few Impale builds this league because, yeah, I mean, this is just going to give you so much damage. You're going to be stacking these, and you're going to be getting on top of that the Impale effect and all that crazy stuff. So I suspect to see like quite a few Impale builds popping up this league because of these charms. Next charm is going to be the Gladiators, and this is kind of cool for you Corrupting Fever boys out there. If you do not want to use, you know, Hemophilia gloves, this is a more inferior version of the Hemophilias, as the Hemophilias grant you 10%. However, this one gives you bleeding enemies you kill explode, dealing 5% of their maximum life as physical damage. And it's pretty nice because it is not like a percentage conditional explode. It's just a conditional, like the enemy must be bleeding, but if they are bleeding, they explode. So that's really nice. So as opposed to Gratuitous Violence giving you 10%, maximum life explosions give you 5%, but that is really nice. I'm not 100% sure exactly how that works if you were to stack it, but I presume that if you were to stack this up to 3 times, it would be 15%. But you know, if you know otherwise, I'd welcome you to correct me in the comments, as I'm always looking to learn more stuff, how these interact and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, in general, I just want to ask you guys that if there is some crazy stuff that you've, you know, spotted out or found out, or you just read a Reddit post, like link it to me, you send it to me on Discord, anything like that. I am more than happy to sort of look through all of the cool things that you guys have found and hopefully make videos for you guys in the future as well. Of the Gladiators here, it gives you 3% of maximum block chance, block attack damage chance. So that means that you're actually now able to get 100% block attack damage, and this was found by the user Kotic Good, and he made a Reddit post talking about this, how like in the past we were never actually able to get up to 100%, but thanks to this being stackable up to 9%, you can get 3 charms. You are actually in theory able to get 100% chance to block attack damage, which means you pretty much would just ignore attack damage entirely, and then you would be able to focus on mitigating spells, through spell suppression or that kind of stuff. So that's pretty damn interesting. You can see here that his character got up to a 91% maximum block attack damage chance, and I'm sure that you can get like the last little bit somehow. However, yeah, you need to be, of course, a gladiator for it, and you need to have a very specific setup with very specific items and sacrifice quite a bit on the passive skill tree to make this happen. But it's just nice to see that, something like this can actually break the game in a way, right? In the sense that like this was never doable before, and it's just really nice to see that it is now possible in Path of Exile to get 100% block chance without, needing to actually take damage from the blocked hits. The next one, this is just like a generically useful for every build that can, that hits things. That is just going to be the Slayer's Calling Strike. That's the, the theoretical 10% more damage. So that's going to give you enemies called when they're at 10% HP. So that's just really nice. The Inquisitor one, it's nice because you can stack up to 3 of them. And yeah, 18% penetration is pretty good. It's a substantial amount of damage for a lot of elemental damage builds. Yeah, just generically a good charm to have. The Hierophants, this is going to be very sought after, of course, because 12% increased mana reservation efficiency of skills stackable up to 3 times. You can just imagine, like, just in the past, we've always had these mana reservation efficiency things, and they're always expensive because, of course, there's Aura Bot, there's all these crazy things that people do with like stacking auras and that kind of stuff. So in general, increased mana reservation efficiency of skills is going to be expensive, but also is going to enable you to, stack additional auras and do all this kind of crazy aura stuff. So that's pretty interesting there. Then you got the Elementalist, all damage can ignite, and you need to note that this doesn't mean that all hits do ignite. You still need to get ignite chance with this. However, it does enable you to, for example, if you are an EA champion, you can actually stack all kinds of different damage. You can have cold, you can have lightning damage, and it would ignite so long as you have 100% chance to ignite. So yeah, that's really nice for, those kinds of builds. And like on tinctures as well, they have this as an implicit, but it's nice to see that you can also get it on charms. So if you are an ignite build and you're using tinctures, know that you can also swap to charms, and essentially you can play with charms instead, and you can still ignite. And one thing that this does enable that charms doesn't is that charms only affect attack hits. However, this is gonna affect spells as well. So that's nice. It's an option for people to build ignite builds with spells. Then you got Occultist, and I think this league is gonna be power charge stacking league. There are so many things, with Relic Impatience, charms, as well as all this kind of other stuff, like with the, if you haven't seen my previous video talking about Relic Impatience, I think you should look at it if you're interested in power charge stacking, but I talked through all of the weird interactions and crazy interactions you can do with, extra charges, Relic Impatience, as well as Tool Fall and all this extra stuff. Essentially, what this does is it gives you 4% increased area of effect per power charge. Increased area of effect is one of the most rare stats in the game. It's so hard to actually get a lot of it. But if you stack this charm up to, 3 times, and then imagine you have 10 power charges, which is not completely unreal when it comes to, power charge stacking. Yeah, you are going to be getting 120% increased area of effect from that. So that is an insane amount of AoE, and it makes me excited to, potentially plan out a build that is power charge stacking because of this kind of stuff. But it's also because you can get them in combination with which leads into more power charge stacking stuff like this one, the Assassins, which gives you 5% critical strike multiplier per power charge, per charm. I mean, I can't really say how more busted that is. You are going to be getting, if you have 10 power charges, 50% crit strike multi per charm, and you can stack up to 3 of them, so it's 150% multi. Guys, what is going on? That is so much multi. Imagine you are getting this one in combination with the AoE. You've literally hit the jackpot. You know, you're getting increased AoE per power charge, and then you're getting crit multi per power charge. That is going to be so expensive and so powerful for so many builds. And then you also have this. When you have our maximum power charges, yeah, you're going to be getting a 1% critical strike critical strike chance. So that's base critical strike chance. 1% base crit while the maximum power charges. You can stack this. You can get 3 base crit if you stack this 3 times. Power charge league, guys. It's power charge league. This one of assassins is insane for any poison build because it gives you 3% increased poison duration for each poison you have up to a maximum of 100%. That means if you are a build that is inflicting a lot of poisons, this is going to be an insane damage multiplier for you in general. You're just going to want to be getting at least one of them if you're a poison build. It's going to be giving you so much poison duration. You know, you're probably able to stack up you know, X amount of poisons. Like, let's say even if you're just stacking, you know, 10 poisons, that's going to be 30% increased poison duration, right? Which most poison builds will inflict 10 poisons within their duration. So it's just a crazy amount of damage for those builds. Next we have of the Saboteurs, and that's going to give 12% cooldown recovery rate per charm. So you can stack, again, I keep saying that you can stack them, but yeah, you can stack these guys. Did you know that? You can stack them. 36% cooldown recovery rate. So, yep, cock. Then we got the Saboteurs, 25% critical strike multiplier against burning, and 50% increased crit strike chance against shocked. You can stack this again, and you can get some pretty crazy damage. This one is for the Deadeyes out there. Do not underestimate how just absolutely insane projectile collision chain is. If you are playing a closed layout, or you know, you're playing a map where it has a boss close to a wall or anything like that, 20% chance to chain when colliding with terrain if you're playing tornado shot is insane, because that means that if you have 3 of these, you have 60% chain collision chain. If you have ricochet, an extra 30%, you can get 90% chance to collide with terrain. That means that your secondary projectiles on TS will never miss. You'll pretty much get 100% TS DPS as long as there's a wall nearby. Just insane. It's something that we've never really been able to do. Of course, there are Ulaman's Gaze, which is the unique Abyss Jewel that also has collision chain. But yeah, now we can get it with charm, so you don't have to sacrifice your Abyss Jewels for that, which is really insane. And then we have increased effect to your marks, which is going to be an insane amount of damage for your sniper's mark. Really good charm as well. You can stack it. Then we have additional projectile. What did I tell you guys? I told you when we did like an overview that there was going to be additional projectiles. So there it is. We can get 3 additional projectiles this league from charms. Area level 81 charm. So it's going to be expensive. And getting this in combination with something else, it's going to be expensive. Yeah, it's going to be expensive. There's so many people playing Deadeye. So yeah, imagine finding this one with this. Yeah, it's crazy. So I suspect that there's going to be some pretty cool farming strategies around looking for charms. However, right now, going into the lead mechanic, honestly, I don't know if we're not strong enough, or whether GGG is like, I don't know what they're doing with the balance, but it feels like every time I go into the lead mechanic, I am summoning the second coming of Exodia in the form of rare monsters and bosses in my map, and I just can't beat them. So yeah, I tend to avoid the lead mechanic for the time being, or do it in lower tier maps. The Raiders is really nice because it gives you effective onslaught 40%, and you can go up to 120% when you have 3. And imagine you're like a Wilma's build, you're going to be getting a ton of extra attack and cast speed from that, and in general, onslaught, you know, movement speed as well. It's really nice. Then you have up to 15% suppression on a charm, which will definitely patch up some itemization issues that you have with your character. So yeah, getting an extra, you know, ton of suppression. This is going to also enable suppression to be accessible to the left side of the tree for builds that do not have access to suppression nodes. So yeah, that is a lot of suppression that you can get from charms there. It's going to completely be like, it's going to alleviate the need to really travel to the right side of the tree and enable left side of the tree builds to actually have a suppression cap. Then chance to gain onslaught is just some nice quality of life to have. You know, if you have no other way to get onslaught, this one is pretty good. And of the Pathfinder is pretty crazy because it enables you to have 100% of flask uptime on builds that are not Pathfinder, as you can scale this with increased flask charges gained and charge recovery and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's really nice for basically any build that would previously go for the Trader Keystone, which is present on Brutal Restraint Jewels. But in this situation, you do not longer need to do that. You can just grab the charms and get 100% flask sustain. Then we have increased effect of Withered. This is a huge damage increase. You know, it's almost 50% as good as Nature's Reprisal. It's going to be crazy for any Chaos Poison build out there. You know, if you're a Chaos poison build out there, get these. You're gonna get substantial amount more damage as long as you have you know, a few of these for sure. And lastly, this one is for any physical damage build. So if you're like Fist Yes, or if you're just like any kind of like Fist spell, 12% of physical damage is extra of a random element is really nice. So to add on to just how broken charms are, there is this new unique that is called That Which Was Taken, which can have up to 4 random charm modifiers on the item itself, as opposed to 2, which you can get on the magic basis. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to have 4 of the charm modifiers that I showed you guys, and in general, it's gonna be like the most probably one of the most expensive items in the game when you get like 4 insane modifiers, like the power charge ones or like any of that kind of stuff. So when you stack this up with insane charm modifiers, you know, probably it's going to be one of the most rare items in the game to get like 4 insane charm modifiers for specific builds. And yeah, as you can see, like on trade already, they're getting pretty expensive for even just one mod. Some guys listing it for 10 divs, but in general, people won't really know how to price these. So if you find a broken interaction or something like that and you manage to make a search, you could probably hit, you know, the gold rush on that one for sure. So that's a really, really cool item to see come into the game, and it's going to enable for an insane level of min-max, and really cool to see GG pull this one out. That's really exciting as well. And yeah, that about sums up all of the charms, guys. This was just a quick look through all of the things that I think are insane. And as I previously said in the video, I welcome you guys to leave comments about crazy findings or just stuff in general that you'd like me to cover in the future, in future videos. You know, I am playing a ton at the moment, so you can find me on Twitch, you know, twitch.tv/crouching_tuna, or here on YouTube as well. I am streaming every day. So yeah, you can catch me on both YouTube and Twitch. And, you know, drop a comment, let me know what you're doing, if you found any cool interactions, or if there's anything you'd like me to cover. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys again soon. And I hope you're having a great league start. I appreciate every single one of you. Peace out, guys.